Hi, everybody. We are doing Trig. Why is it so slow? Trig today, okay? New location. We're in the lunchroom because it's Friday afternoon after school, and I'm just mixing it up so I don't have to come to school over the weekend to record. Not that you need to know any of that, but it's kind of fun being in here. Okay, so Trig is the name of the game. It's fun. It takes a second to learn what to do and what's going on, but once you learn it, you'll really enjoy it, okay? It's a fun topic for us to cover. So let's just talk about what is trigonometry. So it's the study of triangle measures. We'll use it to help us solve for missing sides and angles in right triangles. There's a lot of applications, like aviation uses a lot of trigonometry, engineers use a ton of it, architects. I mean, it is very, very applicable to careers. We'll see some of that next week when we learn some of the applications to this. But again, it's just the study of triangles. Okay. So on your calculator, you've probably seen those weird buttons that say like sine, cosine, and tangent. And we're finally going to learn what those are. So those are our trig ratios. Remember, a ratio is just a comparison of two numbers, right? So we're comparing side lengths of our triangle. And someone a long time ago, much smarter than me and most people, figured out there is a common ratio between sides given a certain angle measure. And someone was smart enough to program your calculator to figure that out for you so you didn't have to do it. Okay, so that's what we're using is these trig ratios. So the first one is sine. Um, it looks like sin, like down here when you abbreviate it, but you actually pronounce it sine. And the sine ratio is the opposite leg over the hypotenuse. So when we do a problem, everything is going to be with respect to like an angle. So they're going to tell you. So like on these examples, we're going from angle A. That's why it says A there. So if you mark angle A, now we have three sides to our triangle. We have the hypotenuse, that's the easiest one to label, and we know that is the one across from our right angle is our hypotenuse. And then we have the opposite side, and that's the one that's all the way across from our angle. Like it's not touching your angle at all. It's on the total opposite side. So that would be this guy over here, and I'm going to abbreviate with OPP for op. And then your adjacent side is right next to your angle. And another way you can think of that to help you remember your adjacent side is touching. It's attached to your angle. So like attached starts with A, adjacent starts with A. It's right next to your side. Okay, so from there we can find out what the sine, cosine, and tangent are of this angle. So now if we backtrack a bit here, the sine ratio is the opposite leg over the hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is your adjacent leg over hypotenuse. And then your tangent ratio is their opposite leg over adjacent. And you will become very good at these. You won't even have to think about it soon. But for now, it's just a lot of new information, right? So let's practice here. So it says sine of A. So sine is your opposite over hypotenuse. So if I look here, my opposite leg is just a little a. So I'm going to put A over my hypotenuse, which is C. And that's it. And like this again is kind of confusing because it's not numbers, but we'll have numbers here and it will make more sense. Okay, now our cosine is our adjacent leg, so B, over our hypotenuse, which is C. And then our tangent is our opposite leg, so A, over our adjacent, which is B. And there we are. Perfect. So we actually have a mnemonic device to help us remember what goes with what. And you've probably heard someone say it before, it's kind of like the Pythagorean theorem, like things that you will remember from high school math is like the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. SOHCAHTOA is also kind of one of those things that you won't forget. So SOHCAHTOA is right here, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, now the S in SO stands for sine. And then we know our sine ratio is our opposite, which is where the O comes from. over the hypotenuse, which is why we have that h there. So opposite over hypotenuse. Does that kind of make sense? So then our cosine, that's why we have a c for ca in cosine, is our adjacent, because it's an a, our adjacent leg over our hypotenuse. And then our tangent, see t for TOA, t for tangent, is our opposite leg over adjacent. So I'll have this on the board from here on out, and you guys can hopefully memorize it too. So it would be tangent, cosine, and sine. You'll be able to remember what goes with what. All right, let's try writing these ratios. So it says give each trig ratio as a simplified ratio. So that's the other thing, like simplified. I don't know if you want to underline that, not that you can see that right now. We always want it to be simplified if you can, okay? So I'm going to shimmy here. Okay, so we are writing the sine of A, cosine A, and tangent A. Do you guys see how it's all from A? So we're going to mark angle A. And now we're going to label our three sides. So what are our three sides? We have hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Let's start with the easiest one. Our hypotenuse is across from the right angle, so that'd be 13. Our opposite is across the whole triangle to the other side. So across my whole triangle is 5, so that'd be my opposite. And then the adjacent one is attached to the angle. It's right next to it. It's right here. And now we can write our ratios. So katoa. Okay, so sine, look guys, opposite over hypotenuse, OH. So what's our opposite side we labeled? Well, it's 5. What's our hypotenuse? It's 13. Now we got to think, can I reduce 5 over 13? Nope. So we're done. That's it. Okay, cosine. Cosine is your adjacent over hypotenuse, A over H. So what's our adjacent leg? Well, it's 12. Our hypotenuse is 13. And now we're done. And then our tangent would be our opposite over adjacent. So tangent would be our opposite 5 over our adjacent of 12. And again, check, can we reduce? No, we can't. Okay. Now we're going to shift gears a bit, because now we're going to, you guys see how we're switching our angle of reference? Now we're going from angle C. So that's going to change things a little bit. I wish I would have wrote in pencil, but that's fine. So I'm going to get rid of my opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, because now it's going to change. Because now I'm not going from angle A, I'm going from angle C. So technically, I suppose your hypotenuse remains the same, because 13 is still across from your right angle. Now your opposite side, remember, is across from your angle, so it's right here, opposite. And then your adjacent is attached to it, right there. Okay, so now let's try from here. So sine, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse. What did we label as our opposite? 12. Our hypotenuse is 13. Our cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 5 over 12. Oh, I'm so wrong. Got a little confident there. 5, your hypotenuse is 13. My bad, kids. 5 over 13. I was overthinking, or pre-thinking for the next one. And then our tangent is opposite over adjacent, so 12 over 5. Okay? So that's just writing the ratios. But now we're going to use trig to help us find missing side lengths in our right triangles. So let's try this. Okay, here we go. So it says solve for x round to the nearest tenth. Step 1 is you mark the angle they give you. Okay, so I mark this angle because that's the only one I know anything about. Now from here, you only label the sides that you have info about. So do you guys see how I know nothing about this bottom side? It's blank. Leave it blank. Don't put anything extra there. That's just going to confuse you. Leave it blank. It's blank for a reason. Okay? So now from here, we're going to label our sides. So x, you guys see how it's opposite? It's our opposite side, so we're going to put opposite. And 19 is across from our right angle, so that's our hypotenuse. And now I'll put our SOHCAHTOA here. Okay, so now I'm looking which one has OH with it, because that's my opposite and hypotenuse. So I'm looking which one has OH. You should be thinking sine, right? Opposite hypotenuse. So now you're going to write, shimmy this up a bit, sine of your angle, which is 28, equals your opposite leg, which is x, over 19. Okay, don't freak out. You know how to solve an equation. I want to get x alone. We always want to get our variable all by itself, right? So how do you undo divide by 19? We multiply by 19. Multiply, multiply. So now I have 19 times sine 28 equals x. And now it's kind of fun because now you guys, it's just calculator work. So hopefully can we see this? All right. So you're going to type in exactly what you see. I have 19 times. Now find the sine button. Mine's right there. So it looks like sin, but it's sine. And then you type in your angle, 28, end your parentheses, enter, 8.9. So we just found that missing side length to be 8.9. Okay, try do this. I'm not very good at using my phone since I know not everyone has a calculator. You a lot of you use your phone. Okay, let me figure it out. Okay, so you want to turn your phone to its side. So you have to type it in a little bit differently when you use your phone. So you have to do kind of backwards. You're going to hit 28 times your sine, and you're going to get this decimal because that's like the ratio. And then you're going to hit times, oh shoot, I lied. Reverse. Okay, you're going to hit 28 sine, so that's your ratio, times 19. And now you get 8.9, which is what we wanted. Okay, one more time because I messed up the first time. 28, because that's your angle, times sine, because that's the trig function we used, times 19. 8.9. Again, I realize this is new. We will practice. So if you're a little lost, stick with me. Don't leave me. Stick with me. Okay? Let's try another one. Okay, so if you remember right, step 1, mark your angle. Step 2, you're just labeling the sides we know stuff about. So that would be our opposite. This is attached to our angle. That's our adjacent. Now we're thinking SOHCAHTOA. What trig function uses opposite adjacent? So which one has the O and the A? Tangent. So we're going to write tangent of our angle, which is 55, equals, now opposite over adjacent, so x over 8. Now same old song and dance, right? How do you undo divide by 8? We times by 8. So now we're going to have 8 tangent 55 equals x. So if you're a calculator person, you just type it in exactly how you see it. So you're going to hit 8, find your tangent button, 55, end your parentheses, 11.4. So our side length there is 11.4. Okay, let's try it on our phone again, just for those using our phones. Okay, maybe clear it out. So remember, you hit your angle first, so 55. Then hit your trig ratio you want, which is tangent. So now we have our ratio times our 8. 11.4. I love when things work out. Woo! Okay. People think I'm nuts in here. Okay, one more, and we're done. Sorry if this is getting long. Last one. Okay. Here we go. Crooked. Hope you guys don't get motion sickness when you watch this. Okay. Again, step 1, mark your angle. Step 2, label the sides that have something to label. If not, leave them blank. So 5 is across from our angle, so that's our opposite. X is across from our right angle, so that's our hypotenuse. So, ka, toa. Okay. Now we have our opposite hypotenuse. Which one uses opposite hypotenuse? So you should be thinking sine, right? OH. So I'm going to write sine of our angle equals opposite, which is 5, over hypotenuse, which is x. Ooh, boy. So we're shaking things up, but it's nothing you can't handle. So we're not big fans of fractions, so we want to get rid of that fraction first. Okay, so how do you undo divide by x? Well, we multiply. So multiply both sides by x. Okay, what happens is these x's cancel out. So now our next line will be x times sine 27 equals 5. Okay, now remember, folks, I said this is just some number. It's just some decimal that someone figured out for us a long time ago in our calculator. So since you're just multiplying by some number, we're going to divide by it to get rid of it. So you can just simply divide by sine of 27. So that cancels out on that left side, so you're just left with x. And now we can type this whole thing into our calculator. So on the calculator, it's a little easier. So you're going to take 5, exactly how you see it, divided by sine 27, and your parentheses. And we should get 11.01. Okay. Now let's try it on our phones. It's a little more complicated this way, but we'll figure it out together. Okay. So this time you're going to hit, I think, let's just try it. We're going to hit 5 divided by 27, but then hit sine equals. Okay, so it did work. So that's what you want to do. So I'll redo that real quick. So you're going to have 5 divided by 27, because that's our angle, and then hit sine, and then hit equals, and then we get that 11.1. Okay? Don't worry. We will do more of these in class, a bunch in class together on whatever day, Tuesday, I think. Skip the bottom 3. We'll maybe do those in class, maybe we won't. I haven't decided yet. Thank you for watching. This was so fun. Okay. Have a great day, and I will see you when I see you.